The thing that really has benefited me the most is not working harder or working smarter or any of that kind of nonsense or working more. That's really not benefited me the most. The thing that has benefited me the most is actually slowing down and thinking about the problem that you're working on and forgetting the outside world. This is a real big challenge because the vast majority of the outside world are going to do two things. They're going to tell you that you need to focus on planning this all out and getting it all done in a systematic fashion. And then the other thing they're going to tell you to do is you got to work harder. You got to work smarter. You got to work more. You got to put in the hours. But ultimately, every time that I look at all of the moments where I've learned the most and I've actually gained the most. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it is, my field and what I'm learning and what I'm doing in terms of research, whether it is I swim a lot, so whether it's getting coached on how to swim, it's always slowing it down. It's always doing something a little bit more systematically. And I know that this is like tough to learn and tough to do because the challenge is not necessarily putting in the hours and putting in all the work. I don't believe in any of that stuff. Stuff is just hocus pocus. But it's really slowing it down and thinking about the issue systematically and figuring out how to do that to know what is the right thing that you slow down and focus on and sort of systematically work on the topic at hand. Now, the challenge always with this is to push away the outside world. You're going to feel, everybody feels like this. I get all sorts of pressure from people to do this and to do that and to focus on this and get this done quicker. But ultimately, the more that you focus on some itty bitty thing, that little tiny thing, the more progress that you actually get. And it seems counterintuitive always because everybody's telling you you should get onto this and do this and go into all these different directions. And in academia, everybody's like, oh, you got to be on 16 trillion different articles and projects and all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you, all those people that are on 16 different trillion articles, they never learn anything. They learn how to balance those 16 trillion articles, but they never really systematically learn anything in general. They never take a deep dive into something. So the goal is to think about search or to think about breadth, sometimes called search breadth, as is talked about that, versus depth and taking a deep dive into something. And I myself, I've learned more in terms of depth and deliberate processes than I have by just kind of being scattered all over the place. I can think of all of the sort of surveys and all of the survey, what's called survey research and doing survey courses that are broad overviews. I never really learned that much. I learn a lot when I slow down and I systematically work on something and spend a great deal of time on it. And I know that's super hard to do. It's one of the hardest things to do is to push away the outside world. But the more that you get used to that, where you think, you know what, I'm not going to pay attention to you, outside world, whoever that outside world is. And I'm going to systematically step towards what I'm interested in. Here's the thing, when you do that, when you're very deliberate and you systematically step into something and you really focus on that thing, you not only gain a tremendous amount of just gain, of potential, of moving forward, but you also learn a lot about yourself because you learn about how much you can actually push back on the outside world without feeling bad about yourself. So I'd encourage you, whoever you are, to push back, to take a stand, to actually slow down and work on something a lot longer than what the outside world tells you should be working on it. A lot of benefits going to happen when you do that. And you'll be surprised on what actually happens in your life when you do that. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.